Please welcome John McCutcheon.
Hey folks, what am I doing here? It's not January. I am a lonesome traveler, great historical bum. Highly educated, from history I have come. I built the Rock of Ages, that was in the year one. That's about the biggest thing that man has ever done. I was in the Garden of Eden, that was in the year of two. Joined the Apple Pickers Union and I always paid my dues. Man has signed the contract to raise the rising sun. That's about the biggest thing that man has ever done. Now, being as we're going to spend the next hour or so together, I think it's important that we get a few things straight right from the beginning. I'm a folk singer, number one. Number two, this is a folk song. And number three, and most importantly, y'all are the folk. So every now and again we must dispatch our common duty and sing a song together. Now I listened to David and Bob's set. It was terrific, wasn't it? So I know y'all can sing. So I have chosen a song with a conveniently repeating final line in every verse. It goes, that's about the biggest thing that man has ever done. Try it. That's about the biggest thing that man has ever done. I was straw boss on the pyramids, the Tower of Babel too. I opened up the ocean, let the migrant children through. 40 million battles and I never lost a one. That's about the biggest thing that man has ever done. Today is the 40th anniversary of the year that my mother left this earth. So I've been thinking a lot about her lately, and I recall the scene of my 14th birthday when I received the greatest birthday present I have ever gotten in my life. I got my very first guitar. It was a Sears and Roebuck silver tone guitar. Yeah. And I would venture a guess that there are at least another dozen former silver tone guitar owners in attendance today. Mine was red. And I don't mean sunburst, I mean fire engine red. And on the inside of the sound hole, there was a little sticker I have never seen on any other musical instrument, and it read, genuine American plywood. From the old growth plywood forests of the Pacific Northwest. And all up and down the neck, it was very indelicately inlaid with big white blocks of swirly crap. My best friend dubbed it Mother of Toilet Seat. And it cost $29.95. And I know that because my father told me. It was the most expensive gift anyone in our family had ever received, including my mother. And I know that because she told me. I thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world, and I knew at that price there was not going to be any money left over for instruction. So I did on that day what I have done so often, what we have all done so often in our life. When we need information, we have no money. I schwinned my way down to the local county public library, and I approached the card catalog, and thanks to Dr. Dewey and his decimal system, I was directed to a far corner of the library where there was a tattered black and white paperback book entitled Woody Guthrie Folk Song. Identities. Now at age 14, I had no idea who Woody Guthrie was. I thought he was a guitar instructor because it was under the subject guitar, and the first page was all those chord grids for the guitar. That you all who play, you know what I'm talking about. And 60 songs. So I started faithfully on the first song, assuming that the book was arranged in ascending order of difficulty. I'd learned the first song, then the second, the third song, and it didn't take me long to realize, no, it was in alphabetical order. What were the chances that all the easiest songs started with A? And I found this song tucked securely among the B's in that book. And this was one of the very first songs I ever learned to play on that little plywood guitar. I was in the revolution when we set this country free. Me and a couple of the Indians, we dumped the Boston Tea. Won the Battle of Valley Forge and the Battle of Bull Run. That's about the biggest thing that man has ever done. After 2 weeks, I was obliged to return this book to the library. And I pushed my way through the big open doors of the Marathon County Library, and I approached this thing that they called the circulation desk. Aptly named because my own increased the nearer I got. Because standing on the other side of the circulation desk was my first love, the head librarian at the Marathon County Public Library. Tells you a lot about the rest of my life, doesn't it? Mrs. Gronke was her name. That's right, she was a married woman. I did not care. I was 14. I was in love. She had the prettiest face, which was crowned with a perfect black bun. Standard issue in library science school. And so suspended around her neck on a string of precious jewels hung a fabulous pair of eyeglasses that swooped out at either end and lay there seductively on what my grandmother called her bosom. And you never needed a calendar around Mrs. Gronke. You always knew what the nearest holiday was by the sweater that she sported. And her wardrobe was perfectly complemented by what I've frequently referred to as librarian shoes. You see them on a daily basis here in Grass Valley and Nevada City. That perfect combination of high heels and hiking boots. And I pushed that copy of Woody Guthrie folk songs across the worn top of the circulation desk, and I looked up at her and she looked down at me, and I looked up at her and she looked down at me, and she said, "May I help you?" And I said, "Mrs. Gronke," because I was 14 and I was at that attractive yodeling stage of adolescence. I said, "Mrs. Gronke, I would like to renew this book." She says, "Wonderful, come back tomorrow." I said, "But I want to renew it today." She says, "John, it takes us 24 hours to process it through our system." I said, "What system are you talking about? I can touch all four walls of the library and not move my feet. I'm here, you're here, the book is here, your little rubber stamp is here, let's just get this done." She said, "John, we are the library. We have procedures, come back tomorrow." The following morning, I showed up as she was unlocking the front door. I went inside, checked that book out, took it home. 2 weeks later, I had to bring it back. 24 hours later, I went, checked it out, took it home. 2 weeks later, I had to return it. 24 hours later, I showed up, and it was not there. Exactly. I stormed up to the circulation desk, and I beat on the top. I said, "Where's my book?" And she said, "Oh, it's your book." I said, "You know what I mean." She said, "Well, isn't it back there on the stacks?" I said, "No, I've looked everywhere." Excuse me. She said, "Well, give me a moment." She reaches under the desk and she pulls out the system. It's a shoebox. And she fingers her way through the cards until she finds the one she's looking for, and she said, oh, it appears someone else has checked it out. And I said, who? And she said, oh, John, it will be decades before we're forced to give out that kind of information. But if you come back in 2 weeks and 1 day, this book will be in reserve for you. I said, what does that mean? She said, well, no one else can check it out after it's returned, cannot be renewed. You are the only person who, just come to the circulation desk, it'll be here for you. I said, you would do that for me? She said, of course I will. And all the way home I thought, she does love me. 15 days later, I was waiting for her as she showed up to unlock the door. And as I walked back out the door with that book under my shoulder, I made a vow that would never happen again. I'm living with my freedom wife in this big land we built. Takes every to free my quilt. Our kids are in the millions, now they run from sun to sun. That's now the biggest thing that man has ever done. The whole reason I'm here with you this afternoon is because of that book. I loved that book. I still love that book. I still have that book. It's not cool, kids, it's not cool, but I was 14, I was desperate. And it might have swayed you to know that today the Marathon County Public Library has 2 copies of Woody Guthrie folk songs. Thanks to, as the book plates state, the generosity of an anonymous donor. Now, for the longest time, that would be the end of this seemingly endless tale. But when one of my most recent books came out, my publisher sent me on a book tour, and one of the places I had to stop was in my hometown. And I guess it was because it was a hometown boy. A lot of people showed up. I was doing readings and signing and talking to people for hours. And I don't care who you are, after 3 or 4 hours, you are not on your game like you need to be. And that's about the time an anxious grandparent pushed 2 young boys forward and said, will you please sign one for Philip and one for Daniel? So I'm signing the books, I'm talking to the boys, when the younger of the 2 looks up at the grandparent and says, Grandma, he didn't look anything like you said he would. And I looked up, and the first thing I saw were the snowman appliques on the sweater. And above that hung a pair of drugstore reading glasses suspended on a chain of cheap chipped rhinestones. And atop that still pretty face sat a perfect white bun. I said, Mrs. Cronky? She said, oh, John, you can call me Elizabeth. And I said, no, I can't. Are these your grandchildren? She said, yes, they are the joy of my life. And I saw a smile I never once saw at the circulation desk. I turned to the elder of the 2 boys. I said, are you Philip or are you Daniel? He said, I'm Philip, sir. I said, Philip, how old are you? He said, I'm nearly 13. I said, Philip, you may find this difficult to believe, but when I was not a whole lot older than you, I had the biggest crush on your grandmother. And he looked at me in horror. And then up at his grandmother, who simply shrugged and said, see, I better quit my talking, cause I've told you all I know. Please remember, partner, wherever you may go, that the people are building a peaceful world, and when the victory's won, that'll be the biggest thing that man has ever done. Yes, the people are building a peaceful world, and when the victory's won, that'll be the biggest thing that man has ever done. Thank you so much. It's awfully nice to be here with you all in Grass Valley. Thank you for coming out. One of the things about coming back to a place, even though I've never played Strawberry before, I've played here in the Grass Valley, Nevada City area for over 40 years now. So I have had people come up to me all day and ask for requests. So thank you, because that's the hardest job that I have. I arrived in the United States after a tour of Australia on March 16th, 2020. And I returned after a month-long tour over there to a very different country than I'd left. My wife met me at the door, through the door. She said, "Honey, you have been a month in the on the handsiest continent on the planet. And you spent the last 24 hours on a tubular petri dish getting back home. And you need to quarantine yourself. I love you, but I'll see you in 3 weeks. Oh yeah, and here's your dog." So my dog, Mother Maybell, and I went up to our little cabin in the North Georgia mountains, and deprived of all the daily duties, household chores, trips to the store, which none of us were making in March 2020. I just wrote every day for 3 weeks, and this is the last song I wrote on the last day of 3 weeks. And you'll recognize the timestamp. In these times, each day feels like the next. And just tonight, my old friend Richard sent a tearful text. I could feel his sorrow on the screen, wondering if I heard the news tonight that John Prine died. Oh, he seemed to pluck his songs out of thin air. They told of tiny triumphs and lives filled with despair, complex in their simplicity, so honest and so true, just like every writer wished that they could do. There's an angel from Montgomery who's finally taken wing, a place up there called paradise, where even Sam Stone sings. All the losers, the lovers, and loners gather round the throne in a mighty choir to welcome John Prine home. I remember a night, a bar in Cambridge town. The band took a break. John and I, we shut the whole place down. It was Stevie Goodman's birthday, just 8 years since he died. We sang, drank, and remembered. We laughed, and then we cried. Just like tonight, when I heard John Prine die. There's an angel from Montgomery, it's finally taken wing. A place up there called paradise, where even Sam Stone sings. All the losers, lovers, loners gathered round the throne in a mighty choir to welcome John Prine home. Tonight I'm sitting here thinking about the stories that we tell, and the precious few who really do make heaven out of hell. So say hello to Stevie, I ain't ready for you yet. And in the meantime, I know you'll enjoy that 9-mile cigarette. There's an angel from Montgomery, finally taken wing, a place up there called paradise, where even sandstone sings. All the losers, lovers, loners gather round the throne in a mighty choir to welcome John Prine home. All the losers, lovers, loners gather round the throne in a mighty choir to welcome John Prine home. Thanks a lot. Well, a few years ago, I had a birthday. So did you. But mine was one of those big birthdays with a zero at the end of it. The kind that makes all your children and all your grandchildren show up because they just don't know. You know? And I'm happy. I'm more than happy to encourage that kind of paranoia as long as it gets them all home. Because it doesn't happen enough to suit me. Well, as you might suspect, I am the songwriter laureate for our family. Whenever there's something big going on, a marriage, a birth, a death, a promotion, someone's moving, sometime during the festivities of my big fat Cuban family, everyone will stop and look at me and go, well, or que, which means what, and so much more. So I wrote myself a 70th birthday song because I knew no one else would do it. Today I turned 70. It happened so fast. I guess now I know that the die has been cast. No, it ain't the gray hair or the aches that I feel. It's the fact that one thing is now perfectly real. I'm too old to die young. Oh, it's a punch in the gut. Oh, my youth passed before me. I guess I just missed the cut. It seems only yesterday that my life had begun. Though my body's intact, I must face the fact I'm too old to die young. Hank Williams, James Dean, oh, we all know their story. I always thought I'd go out in a great blaze of glory, but instead I hung in right from the start. I guess I'll check out like some normal old fart. I'm too old to die young. Oh, it's a punch in the gut. Oh, my youth passed before me. I guess I just missed the cut. It seems only yesterday that my life had begun. Though my body's intact, I must face the fact I'm too old to die young. If you croak when you're 20, folks say, oh no. 30, 40, or 50, you're still too young to go. Hell, even at 60, folks say, what the heck? But once you hit 70, they say, what did you expect? So I guess I'll accept that this is my lot. I'll rage and I'll holler for the time that I got. I'll drink it down to the dregs, right up to the end, and be the best damn old fart that there ever has been. Oh, you know this by now, come on. I'm too old to die young. It's a punch in the gut. It's a punch in the gut. My youth passed before me. My youth passed before me. Guess I just missed the cut. Guess I just missed the cut. Seems only yesterday. It seems only yesterday my life had begun. My life had begun. Though my body's intact, though my body's intact, I must face the fact I'm too old to die young. Though my mind is intact, I'm too old to die young.
Yeah, me too.
So, one thing, you're welcome. For what? So one of the things I discovered during the pandemic is that Zoom could be used for good as well as for evil. And I started almost immediately co-writing with some of my dearest friends from all over the country. And in the past, it had to involve a lot of travel and sitting in the same room, and we found that we could write a lot. Hell, I've just released my second album of songs I wrote with Tom Paxton, who I meet with every Monday afternoon. One of my favorite people that I'm writing with is a wonderful writer from Bloomington, Indiana by the name of Carrie Newcomer. And if you don't know Carrie's music, you really need to know it. And when I released my album Bucket List, I sent it to her, and our next session she started off saying, "Oh, I love that song Bucket List." And you know, it's made me think about my own bucket list. And you want to know what's on my bucket list? Walking the Camino de Santiago. And those of you who don't know what the Camino is, it's a 1,000-year-old, 500-mile pilgrimage from the Pyrenees of southwestern France, terminating at the cathedral in the city of Santiago de Compostela. And Compostela translates to field of stars. I said, "Carrie, you're not going to believe this, but this May I'm going to walk the Camino." She said, well, interesting news flash, in April I broke my leg. But the Camino will still be there this next year. She said, "Oh, I can't wait till you get back so we can write about it." I said, "Carrie, we're songwriters. We make up crap all the time." So here's the story of 4 different people who were walking the Camino for 4 very different reasons. I promised my brother we'd do it one day, but we waited 6 months too long. Though this isn't the way we imagined it'd be, I couldn't bear to admit I was wrong. So I carry this small box of ashes, just like I told him I'd do. This last journey we will take together. I walk the Camino for 2. I follow the footsteps of Francis, who walked this way centuries ago. I made my vows to the order, but for decades I've struggled to know. Now I carry the weight of decision. This God I've been taught is too small. At Santiago I'll lay down my habit and free us both for once and for all. For the way is not only the walking, the pilgrimage more than the mile. Some things you just have to carry along, our joys, our doubts, and our trials, just to lay them down at the bones of the saint, no matter how long or how far. We walk the way, we walk the world to Compostela, the field of stars, to Compostela, the field of stars. It's quiet here, not like in Kabul, and I've been on some treks in my day. It's lighter without gear and rifle, beneath the stars of the great Milky Way. In my pocket I carry a medal I will leave at the tomb of St. James. In my heart I carry a great pressing weight that I struggle each day just to name. I just woke up one morning and went. I put one foot in front of the other. Day upon day as I wandered the way, I met a soldier, a nun, and a brother. Each of them carried a burden, and each of them laid it on down. That is the job of the journey, to make it at last holy ground. For the way is not only the walking, the pilgrimage more than the miles. Some things you just have to carry along, our joys, our doubts, and our trials, just to lay them down at the bones of the saint, no matter how long or how far. We walk the way, we walk the world to Compostela, the field of stars, to Compostela, the field of stars, Compostela, the field of stars. Thank you. I'm reading a wonderful book now. It is, I read a review of it the other day, and it says this is likely the last novel by the great Wendell Berry. And it's called Man's Catlet. It's another of his Port William stories. And I woke up this morning remembering a song that he and I wrote together. I was doing an album called Mightier Than the Sword, where when I was co-writing songs with some of my favorite poets and writers. And I was at his house and said, well, John, I'd love to write a song with you, but I have never written a song. Characters in my books have written songs. But me, I have never written a song. And I know exactly what he means. So he went back, and one of my favorite of his books is one, it's called Jayber Crow. And so this is Jayber Crow's silly song about Jesus. What kind of car will Jesus drive when he comes back again? What make or model will suffice to save this world from sin? Oh, soon may he come back to earth, set us free at last, for Satan's car has no reverse. He is driving fast. Has daylight been a heavy load? Is life a dirty deal? The kingdom car's on the road and our Savior's at the wheel. No, wait, I take this music back. Forgive my silly song. We will foresee him as we are, and every time be wrong. I've got a dancing sustain pedal here. So David and Bob did a great song about baseball and big league dreams in a minor league town. Great song. I love the game of baseball. I have written a lot about baseball, and none of the songs are ever really about baseball. It's the great American allegory. In fact, I have an entire baseball album. It's true. That's how much free time I have. It's called Sermon on the Mound. And because that's true. And because I am such a marketing genius, I'm going to do a song that's not on that album. This is a true story, and I know it's true because I saw it on SportsCenter and the internet. Also because I've met this young woman. Ellensburg, Washington, the sun shone so bright, a beautiful day for a game. When Sarah Tukolsky stepped up to the plate, she knew she would ne'er be the same. It was senior day, and in all her 4 seasons, she'd had no worse year than this one. Batting under 100, she knew at month's end that her softball career would be done. Oh, she looked at a strike, she looked at the sky, she thought how she'd miss playing ball. She took a deep breath and swung for life or death, set the next pitch right over the wall. Sarah Tukolsky sprinted for first. She'd never once hit a home run, but halfway to second, her left knee gave out, and in an instant her season was done. She lay in the base path, writhing in pain. The dirt and the tears stained her face. She knew that her run would not be recorded until she had touched every base. So she looked to her teammates, she looked to her coach, but the ump said the rules are quite clear. No one from Western's allowed to assist you. And above her, a strange voice said, "Here." Mallory Holtman played first base for Central. She reached out her hand to the ground. Oh, those rules don't say nothing about your opponents. Get up and I'll get you around. So with her teammate Liz Wallace, Mallory Holtman picked Sarah right up like a feather. They carried her around till she touched every base, and the 3 girls crossed home plate together. Thus, Sarah Tukolsky got her home run, though she didn't do it alone. Sometimes help comes from where you least expect it and carries you all the way home. Ellensburg, Washington, the sun shone so bright, a beautiful day for a game. can finally take these sunglasses off. Oh! For the uninitiated among you, this is a hammer dulcimer, so called because he uses little wooden hammers. Originally comes from the Middle East, where it's considered a classical instrument in Iran, which is ancient Persia. Was its birthplace. Traveled both east and west there. It was keyboard players in Europe who saw beggars on the street playing this instrument that came in as a war souvenir after the Crusades. About the year 1700, they decided to replace the picks of the harpsichord with the mallets of the santur, and the piano was born. It was one of the very first instruments to come into this country, came into the Jamestown, Virginia settlements in the first decade of settlement there. And from there, it was a quick trip up Interstate 64 to my house. And that's as much as you need to know about the dulcimer today. Except for the fact that, remember that book I was talking about that I got from the library, the Woody Guthrie songbook? Just before my 15th birthday, I hit the P's. And this song was the first song in the P section. And it was immediately my favorite but I loved it even more than that song in the T's that I discovered a few weeks later that I already knew. And as blasphemous as it might be to say, this is still my favorite Woody Guthrie song. It's a mighty hard road, these poor hands of gold. 4 feet have wandered a hot, dusty road. Out of the dust bowl and westward we rolled. The deserts was hot, your mountains was cold. I've worked in your orchards of peaches and prunes, slept on the ground neath the light of the moon. At the edge of your cities you'll see us, and then we come with the dust, we're gone with the wind. California, Arizona, I've worked all your crops. Up north to Oregon to gather your hops. Pick the beets from your ground, pick the grapes from your vine. To put on your table your bright, sparkling wine. Green pastures aplenty from dry desert ground. From the Grand Coulee Dam where the waters run down. Every state in this union of migrants have been. And we're working this fight, we'll fight till we win. It's always that ramble, that river and I. Through this green valley I will work till I die. This land I'll defend with my life, if it be. Pastures of plenty must always be free. This land I'll defend with my life, if it be. Pastures of plenty must always be free. Step by step, along this march can be won, can be won. Many stones form an arch, singly none, singly none. And by union, what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, singly none. Y'all are missing some big rallies around this country today. But we can have one here.
Tomorrow.
Because you need to know this song. What does make a difference is those of us here at the bottom of that pyramid. The ones who understand that we are not called upon to do great things, rather we are called upon to do small things greatly. And you need to all work together, and it goes step by step. The longest march can be won, can be won. Try it. Step by step, the longest march can be won, can be. Many stones can form an arch, singly none. Many stones can form an arch, singly none. Singly, and by union what we will can be accomplished still. And by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none. Step by step, the longest march can be won. Can many stones can form an arch, singly none, sing, and by union, what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, singly none. By step, the longest march can be won. Many stones can form an arch. Singly none, sing, and by union, what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill. Singly none, singly none. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to sing a song that Tom Paxton and I recently wrote, and I want to bring a buddy of mine out here to help me sing it. This is a guy who's actually going to be singing tomorrow. Here, he's an old and dear friend of mine. For the longest time, he was my agent, and then he had the good sense to retire. But he booked me this gig. Mike Prine, come on out here. It's his fault.
Well, it's great that you mentioned Carrie Newcomer, because I was her agent for about as many years. I worked with John, and she's playing in my hometown in Michigan tonight. So I'm missing that, but I'm here.
And he has also been Alistair and Natalie's agent all these years.
Not a bad gig.
So Tom and I sing this a little bit with a little bit of trepidation here in Nevada County, but we felt that this was an important song to be written for a really silent majority. I'm a 13th cup of coffee, smoking my second bad cigar, and the bottom of this bottle just won't tell me where you are. I ate a 32-ounce T-bone, my cholesterol's through the roof. You want to know how much I miss you? There's the proof. Well, I'm a cheating when I'm eating when I'm not with you. I know you tried your best, dear, to tame my rowdy diet, but if something came with gravy, well, you know I had to try it. I was raised on bacon, everything came chicken fried. Everybody ate the food I ate, and everybody died. I'm a cheating when I'm eating when I'm not with you. But you wooed me with your kisses, so I tried your leafy greens. I ate your veggie burger, but I dreamt of pork and beans. We dined at trendy restaurants where everyone wore hemp. And when I saw a plate of french fries, eyes were clamped. Yes, I'm a cheating when I'm eating when I'm not with you. Cue the steel guitar. I know I was unfaithful at our local Taco Bell, but I saw her hot chalupa and I figured, what the hell? And after it was over, though I tried hard to forget, I passed that drive-through window of regret. Yes, I'm a cheating when I'm eating when I'm not with you. So I swear I'll eat your tofu, I'll down quinoa by the bucket, and if they offer me a Big Mac, well, I promise I'll say no. I'll go lactose-free or vegan, I'll do anything at all. I'm starving for your love, dear, won't you call? No more cheating when I'm eating when I'm not with you. No more cheating when I'm eating when I'm not with you. Mike Ray, you'll see him tomorrow. Back in 2012, I did an album in honor of Woody Guthrie's 100th birthday. I kind of had to do it, didn't I? And I was on tour out here, my usual tour in January. And for those of you who live close by here, I will be back at the Center for the Arts on Saturday, January 10th. It'll be another benefit for KVMR Community Radio, so come out and hear some music and support your local station. And one of the songs of the album, wrong key, was one of the great mysteries of folk music. On January 28, 1948, a plane took off from San Jose, California. On board were pilot, co-pilot, a flight attendant, a 1948 version of what would have been an ICE agent, and 28 Mexican agricultural workers, all of whom were in this country legally under the Bracero program, but their work visas had expired, and they were being transported to a camp in El Centro to be processed for deportation. About an hour into the flight, the right engine developed a problem and the plane went down in the Los Gatos Creek Canyon about an hour west of Fresno. Fresno was the nearest town I was performing in. So before I went there, I did a little research and I found that all those 28 people who were listed, the next day that this incident was reported across the country, and the New York Times reportage of this, which is still online and you can read it, went to great lengths to name the pilot, the co-pilot, the ICE agent, and the flight attendant, and concluded with, also on board were 28 deportees. One of the many people who read that was Woody Guthrie. And names were important to Woody. And he wrote a song called All They Will Call You Will Be Deportees. And I found that those 28 people were buried in a mass grave in the Sacred Heart Cemetery in Fresno. And I told my roadie, we're getting to Fresno a little early today.
Late in his life, my brothers and sisters all working the fruit trees. They rode on that truck till they lay down and died. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride that big airplane, and all they will call you will be Deportees.
Ramon Paredes, Jesus Santos, Jose Sanchez, Miguel Alvarez, Guadalupe Ramirez, Baldomero Torres, Jose Macias.
Oh, some of us are illegal, and others not wanted. Our work contract's out, and we have to move on. 600 miles to the Mexican border, they chase us like outlaws, like wipers, like thieves. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride that big airplane, and all they'll call you will be Deportee.
Martin Navarro, Apollonia Plasencia, Santiago Elizondo, Salvador Hernandez, Tomez de Gracia, Francisco Duran, Rosalio Estrado.
The sky plane went down over Los Gatos Canyon. A fireball of lightning, it shook all our hills. What are these leaves? Who are these friends? All scattered like dry leaves. The radio says they are just deportees. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride that big airplane, all they will call you will be Deportee.
Bernabe Garcia, Severo Lara, Elias Macias, Thomas Marquez, Luis Medina, Manuel Merino, Luis Miranda.
Is this the best way to raise our good orchards? Is this the best way we could grow our good fruit? Is it to be scattered like dry leaves, to be known by no name except Deportee? Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride that big airplane, and all they will call you will be Deportee.
Ignacio Navarro, Roman Ochoa, Alberto Regoza, Guadalupe Rodriguez, Maria Rodriguez, Juan Ruiz, Wenceslao Ruiz.
Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride that big airplane, all they will call you will be Deportee.
Wow.